Well, actually, the best thing, looking back on my long life now, that I did in my career was really not something associated with my full-time job. It was something I did related to that. And I set up 20 years ago, with the help of Helena Kennedy, a charity called now the Helena Kennedy Foundation. And over the last 20 years, we have directly supported disadvantaged students from the further education sector to go on into university and higher level courses, so that they get the skills for life and they gain entry into the world of employment. And that would have been barred to them had we not been able to give them bursary support and some mentoring, because that's kind of what they needed. And setting up that charity and seeing the success 20 years on, very much related to what City and Guilds does as well, but it's a source of huge personal satisfaction for me. And it's a great achievement for the over 2,000 students who have now benefited and gone on to get great jobs and to progress in their jobs. And some of them are now very senior people in the NHS, in social services, in the law, in a number of professions and technical vocational areas. Well, obviously I no longer am a full-time senior executive or chief executive, which I was for very many years. And yet in the non-executive roles I have now, I still encounter some of the same let's say challenges that I had when I was a lone woman chief executive principal of a college, aged 34, so just some 30 years ago. There still remains, sadly, a lot of unconscious bias in the way that appointing panels operate, in the way that organisations and committees are run, boards of companies and charities are organised. There's still, I experience, an unnerving degree of patronising language and behaviour shown by men. There's still a need for women to have to fight to have their voice heard, despite all the worthy and really very important equality, diversity, inclusion initiatives that are taken, and despite the fact that things are changing and have changed for women and for a whole range of other protected categories, as they are rather romantically known as. There have been some developments, but still there is everyday behaviour and inbuilt attitudes, really, I encounter in this case, particularly with men, towards both women and in my case towards, I'm a bisexual gay woman. So there are still huge issues of discrimination and prejudice, sadly, in the workplace, and that needs to be called out. And also we need to create cultures like the culture that we're trying to get here in the City and Guilds, across the whole group, of openness and transparency and valuing. And I think having a charity as City and Guilds is with a sense of purpose that we can all unite behind really helps with that. But sometimes behaviour can still be quite challenging for women in the organisation, and I find that generally as well. We want women to be in leadership positions, do it knowing that it can be lonely. Certainly when you reach the top of the profession, when you are the CEO, or in the case of City and Guilds, the group CEO, you are the uniquely accountable person, and when things go wrong, people will look to you. They'll question your judgments, they'll look to apportion blame even if it's not your fault. And if you're lucky, you will also get an awful lot of praise if the organisation is successful, that actually you might not be directly, personally accountable for. It probably will be, because people you are working with and teams you're working with will have achieved things, and you will be reflecting in the glory of that. But do it because we need women leaders. Do it in a way that's authentic to you. Always be kind, always share things with people, but don't ever reveal all yourself, because if you are a leader, you have to just keep something back. I wouldn't quite go so far as the royal family might do in this country, you know, never complain and never explain. But there is something in that advice which it goes with the job of being a number one wherever you are in an organisation, what type of organisation. So you just have to accept the joys of leadership and some of the downsides of leadership as well, but you can do it in your own authentic way, and it's very, very important that men and women do that if they take on leadership roles.